Well, hello there, YouTube. For some reason, I had a bit of a for fun inkling to cast a random game of Legion TD2. So you guys have the immense privilege of seeing this very exciting matchup between GreenSpirit and BerntDasBrot, the Gigapleb duo, and they are up against Aquanamenta in lane 3 and Mganso in lane 4. So quite a formidable pair of opponents there. I think Green and Julian are really going to struggle with this one. And we do see BerntDasBrot with the Fiesta opener getting snail checked here by Aquanamenta on wave 1. So Aquanamenta clearly doing their homework here, understanding that Bernt is a bit of a Fiesta enjoyer and going for that greed check here, ultimately being rewarded with a really big 75% leak on wave 1 against Bernt. Alright, Bernt, of course, does get his 60 sent out as a result, though. Oh no, I think he's going to be just short. He only has 5 workers. He didn't have the balls to go to 6 workers here, in fact. He's adding the Tempest, on wave 2, meaning that he would hold any resend coming from Aquanamenta. But again, the yellow player, fully understanding his opponent here, not resending the snail, so Bernt's going to be really hard punished here, actually. He's going to hold against the no-send, whilst also not having the 6th worker required to send 60 against Mganso here, but Mganso did stay on 4 workers, so he's going to be just fine as well. Meanwhile, here we have BerntDasBrot spam pinging the crusher of Mganso, clearly disappointed to see his opponent's value, but we have to remind ourselves that this is the same BerntDasBrot who's 175 value with Windhawk and Tempest on wave 2. So really, is this a bit of a pot calling the kettle black situation? It seems to be, yes. We do get a 40 cent here coming out from Green. There is the Dragon Turtle on 3, probably trying to ask us all the question, the age-old question, of course. Just how bad do you have to be to leak to a DT on 3, on 3, on 3, on 3? But Aquanamenta, it seems, clearly not bad enough. He's going to easily hold this send, and GreenSpirit just feeding his opponent, and we get more spam pings coming out from these two gentlemen. They're very disappointed, it seems, that every time their opponents build units, their sends don't go through, which is a bit of a peculiar interaction here in Legion TD2, that value can quite often overpower sends. We do get full income coming out from all 4 players. There's a Fiend coming out from Mganso into GreenSpirit's lane, but it looks like he's got a little bit of the old value going on himself as well here. 385 value in GreenSpirit's lane, while Bernt, the Fiesta player, on 380, clearly not very far behind. In fact, it seems that both of the lower-rated players here have a higher worker push and lower value than both of the so-called good players from GreenSpirit and BerntDasBrot. But having said that, though, I don't care what any good player says, Saving Mythium has absolutely 100% no counter. Alright, and BerntDas over Builder, it seems he is going to be rewarded here. I see he went for a quite interesting strategy, actually, because rather than stay low value with his Fiesta, he just thought, do you know what, I'm going to be really high value, but I'm going to make sure that all of my value is really bad, so that he can still get that Fiesta value with a leak here on 4. Rather than pushing workers and staying low value with good units, he's opted for a bit of a, he likes to think outside the box, does Julian? So he's gone for high value, low worker, but really bad value, very, very, very poor units on the wave with the Oathbreaker there. The Tempest, of course, particularly bad on wave 4. So interesting to see the strategy play out at this level of the game. It does seem that GreenSpirit has finally found his worker button now, pushing up to 9 workers on wave 5 with his Priestess build. Some might call him brave, others foolish. Oh, but Green and BerntDasBrot, they're going tee-hee-hee-hee-hee right now. They're saving their Mythium. And as discussed, absolutely 100% no counter. Can Bernt Fiesta here? Of course he cannot. All right, the sends, despite being income sends, these are some pretty heavy sends now coming out from Green and Burnt. We have the Drake of Green, and it looks like he will get another 40 to join it, so I expect to see a DT or a couple of snails. And Burnt is just opting for the Fiends, because clearly Mganso there enjoying a glot of impact damage, so Fiends pretty good tanks. But with Mganso's 655 value and a couple of gate guards, I think he's going to do just fine, even against 2 Fiends and 1 King Up. 160 for Aquanamenta, 2 of those are King Ups as well. So it looks like Burnt and Green not intending to leak their opponents, just going for those income sends. That's understandable. Green now going up to 10 workers with his Priestess build after getting a resend on 6, which he's just fine with. And BerntDasBrot, who has a Leviathan and a Tempest here, just one-shotting the left-hand side of the wave. We do get income resends from Green and Mganso, but Green with those 11 workers, he is starting to snowball a little bit here. What can Team Aquanamenta and Mganso do to prevent this Green man falling downhill at such speed? Mganso is going for a full send here. He added the snail on top of the Fiend. But GreenSpirit, despite being 11 workers, he's also on 680 value. And it's not bad value for the wave either. He has the Shroom, he has the Priestess tanking perfectly here, and a little bit of pierce damage behind there with the Daphne and the 2 Rangers. So I think GreenSpirit, it looks like he's going to be just completely fine here against the 80 resend. And of course that enables him to push at least 1 more worker there. We see him going up to 12. He's going to stay on 12, it seems. BerntDasBrot, his teammate, clearly feeling under the pressure of Aquanamenta, who's amassed 100 Mythium already, so I can understand why Burnt might be scared here. Mganso popping out the Chieftain here. That is a self-buffing Chieftain, so not the most value, especially because it's also a non-tanking self-buffing Chieftain, which is, you know, not the best combination. But I'm sure, you know, he's got plans. If anyone goes for a leak here, I guess maybe Aquanamenta's the most in trouble, but no. I mean, Green even adds a couple of King upgrades here, not intending to leak his opponent whatsoever. Maybe another DT could have made a difference. In fact, maybe 2 DTs and 2 King ups is enough. And yeah, even the self-buffing, non-tanking Chieftain here from Mganso, it seems, is enough to hold a Cannoneer and 2 King Ups from Burnt. And we do get a leak here, actually, from Aquanamenta. So, typical misread there by GreenSpirit, deciding not to send the last 40 Mythium in Mercenary form and sending it as King upgrades instead. He could have achieved quite a sizable leak here, but of course, just not being able to read his opponent, really biting GreenSpirit in the backside here, just where he likes it. There is a mole send coming out from Mganso, but imagine, if you will, sending power mercenaries at GreenSpirit. He has 2 alpha males here, very, very tanky boys, and the mole is just not a threat against those units. It will go right as well, so the mole, which could have been dangerous on the left-hand side against the Priestess, and the Shroom, is just going to waste its time trying to whack away at this natural armor of the alpha male. By the way, GreenSpirit's nickname, the Alpha Ape. A little bit of synergy there, the Alpha Ape deploying 2 alpha males. 140 send against Burnt. He is, of course, 20 over value, as you would expect from Burnt playing Fiesta on his strongest wave. And a 60 send against Aquanamenta, again, not paying off. So GreenSpirit just clearly struggling to read the opponent here from Poland, Aquanamenta, just on another level, it seems. Have I got the country right? I have. Poland, incredible. Insane memory on this young man. We do get an pack leader send from BerntDasBrot, who somehow, this is the biggest mystery for me, BerntDasBrot has earned his season reward, the pack leader of the Horde. I'm kind of impressed that Burnt has been able to get any elo together this year with the way that he's been playing, but no, he has achieved that season goal. Very pretty looking skin, by the way. Great work there by the devs. Alright, that is the only send coming out as well. Nobody else is sending any Mythium here, so don't expect any action in any of the other lanes. Mganso then is the one to watch. And we do get a lizard on there. The pack leader is tanking... Oh, it's actually tanking the Sky Queen. This is like best case scenario here for BerntDasBrot. A very, very lucky player, it has to be said. He makes up in luck what he lacks so much in skill. And here a 64% lead from Mganso as a result. He did just get the pack leader at the end there though. But yeah, clearly pretty unlucky focus there from Mganso with his one Pierce carry attacking the fortified unit and all of his magic units on the arcane granddaddy here. So there will be a little bit of king damage as a result, and GreenSpirit going for a full send now against Aquanamenta. Aquanamenta and Mganso both holding on to their Mythium meanwhile. They don't have too much of it, in fairness. They're just about to reach the 200 Mythium mark in the next couple of seconds. Aquanamenta, he's 321 undervalue. Mganso, he's going to be heavily undervalued as well, but Burnt and Green so far not selecting a Legion spell. I'm wondering here, are they going to go for an aggressive spell? And yes, GreenSpirit does take the all-out assault, and BerntDasBrot, will you take the aggressive spell as well? He will, so we get the double all-out assault here from GreenSpirit and BerntDasBrot. Let's see if they can translate this into a bit of a leak. I think the answer has got to be yes. 420 Mythium here, wandering into Aquanamenta's lane. Surely now GreenSpirit has got the measure of his opponent. It seems that Aquanamenta has been one step ahead of Green the entire game so far, but this is a really big send here on wave 11. That Harbinger did just barely get its second summon out. The Shadow Dancer has lived for a very long time. It does, of course, go down now, but it's certainly done his job. Aquanamenta, what an absolute machine. I mean, sure, he's leaking at 69% there, but this was a 420 Mythium send, and he's 320 undervalue. Aquanamenta really performing very well so far this game. Mganso leaking 44%. Of course, BerntDasBrot just sent income mercenaries there. Perhaps if he had not wanted to int his teammates so much, he might have been able to send power mercenaries as well. They would have got insane king damage, but no, Burnt, committed to the inting lifestyle, just goes for DTs and cannoneers. And the third alpha male here for GreenSpirit. He's really committing to this alpha grind set, it seems. He must have read some online forum stuff. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this, but you know the kind of weird forums where people talk about that sort of thing? He must be into that kind of stuff. Aquanamenta and Mganso, they have a decent chunk of Mythium now. We've got 400 for Aquanamenta. We've got nearly the same there for Mganso. He's just a little bit behind with only 14 workers, which of course is the same as BerntDasBrot, the fast and aggressive Fiesta player. But the one difference is that he does have Giant Snail as well. And also worth pointing out that both Green and Burnt took all-out assault. So of course that's a little bit of income they cost themselves. And GreenSpirit was on Cartel. So Green actually lost 53 income? Is it now for Cartel 33? 53 income he lost on wave 11? But surely these guys have to send now on wave 13. And yeah, we see that Kraken coming out from Mganso, a 4 eyes from Aquanamenta. There is a full send as well from Green and Burnt. So they are hoping for a race here. If we have a look at Burnt's lane, most of his stuff actually looks quite good. Like, sure, he has the Leviathan and Tempest, which are pretty bad on 13, but he also has the Sovereign, which is flying. Of course, that's why he's placed it on the Leviathan. Very good foresight there. Burnt, the Kingclaw, very good tank. The Violet, very good unit on 13 as well. So he's on a decent chunk of value, and most of it is pretty good. We have GreenSpirit and Burnt just pinging the Azeria and the tier 1s here. I think Burnt is notoriously bad at placing his Azeria and getting it killed on 13. That must be why he's pinging so much. I can't think of any other reason. And the Kraken goes right, which means that GreenSpirit has a free kill on the left-hand side. Of course, his Azeria tanked very little because Burnt forced him to place his tier 1 so high. So it didn't get as much tank value as you would have liked, but yeah, it's just, he's completely fine with 2,500 value, with the Kraken doing absolutely nothing. I think even GreenSpirit's going to manage to hold this one. And Mganso leaks 69% to the send. And yeah, Aquanamenta, he's not far behind. That's a 44% there. I think they might survive, though. One of these creeps is very low. It's going to die almost instantly. Of course, Burnt and Green are not going to take too much damage either from that leak on the left-hand side. Aquanamenta and Mganso dropping dangerously low here on the right-hand side. They are below 10%. They will go below 5%. And they'll just stabilize here now on 3% king HP, so they cannot afford another mistake here in this game. As we get into the mid to late game stage about to take over, GreenSpirit is doing pretty well. He's on top of the leaderboard over there, although you hate to see it. BerntDasBrot not too far behind, clearly being carried there by Green. And Aquanamenta and Mganso, they are starting to fall slightly behind. They were really all in on that Wave 13 play, and sure, they got leaks, but they just weren't big enough. And that is what she said. There was only a 40% leak there from GreenSpirit, and 94% leak from Bernt, of course, by far the worst player in this lobby. But it wasn't enough, right? Because Aquanamenta and Mganso, they also leaked there to the much smaller sends from GreenSpirit and Bernt. If they had been able to hold their own lanes, then this would have been a clearly good trade for them. But yeah, dropping themselves down to 3% as well. They're in a bit of an unenviable situation here now on Wave 14. I'd be interested to see whether Green and Bernt are still capable of losing this. I wouldn't count them out just yet. If there are any two players who are capable of pulling a loss from the jaws of victory, then surely it's GreenSpirit and BerntDasBrot. So we'll have to see what these guys can have in store for us today. Aquanamenta going for a boost here on Wave 15. There is no send coming, of course, so that's 20 gold he'll never see again. Alright, all four players holding on to their Mythium. I'd be very interested to see if Wave 16 comes out, or does either side dare for a Wave 17 send. So GreenSpirit and BerntDasBrot, it looks like they have pulled the trigger. There will be a Wave 16 send coming out from these young men, and Aquanamenta and Mganso, it looks like they're going for the send as well. So this is very, very crucial now. Aquanamenta and Mganso, they do have answers here. Aquanamenta, well, he only has one flower because he's Chaos, of course, and he didn't skillfully roll it again here, so surely he upgrades the Death Cap, and he also has the Yazora, which is a pretty good unit on Wave 16, but he's just so far undervalued. Mganso, meanwhile, he does have two Phoenices, which are pretty solid, especially if he can get them to split tank properly, but there's no split going on here. Mganso, you're going to need to raise that split, otherwise I'm afraid your Phoenices are going to be in trouble. And Aquanamenta, he doesn't even go for the Death Cap. He actually goes for Leviathan and a Trinity Archer, which, just in case anybody in the chat is not aware, that is a flying unit, so it will get a bunch of extra damage out here. But this is a 680 Mythium send wandering into Aquanamenta's lane, and a 660 for Mganso. Meanwhile, GreenSpirit receives 520, Bernt receives 600, but crucially, of course, the left-hand side has significantly more value than their opponents, and it looks like this is going to be all that she wrote. Aquanamenta going for a bit of a leak, Mganso going for a bit of a leak, 122 and 94% respectively. These guys are exceptionally dead. Bernt 65%, what a feeder, and GreenSpirit, he's holding, what a beast. But unfortunately for Aquanamenta and Mganso, that is all she wrote. They have lost the game here on Wave 16. Or rather, I should say, Green and Bernt failed to throw. Goodbye.